started to read it, and I found myself really loving it and loving this guy because he was sort of everybody I wanted to be in high school. You know, he was a total dork, but that didn't stop him. You know, and as a dork, I was stoppable. So I was very jazzed about the audition, and my manager was very jazzed, and my agent was very jazzed, and I was very, very excited. I was going to meet John Hughes and Molly Ringwald in one fell swoop. So I was just absolutely petrified. When I went into the audition, I thought, if I mess this up, I'm going to kill myself. Because there's never been a part that I felt so right for upon reading. And it's funny, I went in and I met John and Howie and Molly. And Molly wasn't in the greatest mood that day, and she's a very blunt sort of person.
Excuse me.
And I have sort of a nervous laugh that comes in at the end of some of my sentences that doesn't happen on stage, luckily, but it happens when I'm being a regular kind of guy. And I mean, it's sort of like at the end of every sentence. Well, I walk in and I'm talking to them, nervous as all hell. I'm like, hi, how are ya? What's up? And she goes, well, you got a funny laugh. And I was like, oh boy, send me home now.
I hope I'm not the only in the world that knows what an incredible person you are.
Well, at this point in time, I'm afraid you are, honey.
The only other person that I remember other than John was Robert Downey Jr., who I thought was fantastic. But it was very different. I think the dynamic that I had with Robert was just completely different than John Cryer. I mean, Robert played it very eccentrically, more adult. His sense of humor was, I don't want to say sophisticated, but it was definitely stranger. Ducky would have been a very, very strange kind of person, but he had sort of that more adult way. I mean, he was older also, and John Cryer was much more innocent. He seemed more like a little brother to me. Even though I think John is actually older than I am, he seemed like a little brother, and I think Howie really liked that quality a lot. I think that's really what he responded to, and which is why he was cast.
When I read the script first, I went, I want this role. Oh, God, I want this role.
You know what an older woman does for me?
Changes your diapers. Normally, I don't respond that way. There's not too many roles that come along that I feel so strongly that are so appropriate for me, I think, that I have a response like that. So it occurred to me when I went in to meet the director and the producers the first time that I should just, forget all decorum and just crawl in on my knees. Which I think I almost did.
You could say that life itself is a stupid tradition.
Tracy Ullman was up for that part. And the funny thing was her American accent wasn't quite there at the time. I mean, she was fantastic. I thought she was great. But she really didn't have a great American accent, which is so funny when you think about Tracy Ullman. I mean, she does fantastic accents. That's one of the things that she does. But at the time, or at least on that day, it wasn't there. And I think that the powers that be were afraid that she wouldn't be able to be authentic as an American. But when Annie came in, it was just obvious that she was so cute and so fun, and where she had that sort of fun mentor, big sister quality.
This is what distinguishes it from other high school movies that are the adult characters. Iona certainly takes her place in one of the most unique characters ever written and ever put onto the screen. She's a one-of-a-kind, zany kind of woman who lives on another planet.
One of the reasons I fell in love with this character is because it was so frighteningly like me.
What do you think? Honestly. Honestly, I think you look great. Oh, I look like a mother.
If anything can be said about her, that she's always in transition. She apparently has been, from the beginning of her individual consciousness, thrown herself into every trend and idea of morality, religion, sexuality, dress code. I mean, whatever it is, she's done it all. And she seems to me to be a person who lives without, she has no regrets. It was a wonderful role for me. I was looking at it thinking what a great role it was, and I thought, I wonder if I really appreciated it at the time as much as I should have. I decided after I looked at it that I had appreciated it. I could tell I was having fun.
We did some casting sessions both in LA and New York, and I think that James Spader came in New York. And I remember it was a very long day, and I would just stand there, basically, and they would bring one person in after the other. And I remember James Spader coming in and smoking a cigarette, which is so impossible to even think about anybody doing that now. But even then, to do that was a little risky. And he was just so obnoxious, but he was completely in character because he's actually a lovely person, very nice, and not at all like the character that he plays. But he just had this real sneer about him, and the smoke and blowing in the smoke, and I think he even dropped the cigarette on the floor and stamped it out and just left.
He just was so believable that even I was casting the movie and I went, gee, I hate this guy, and I wasn't able to translate that into, but that's good for the movie because he was so despicable, and that's where John and I separated because John was able to have the experience of knowing, well, that only means it's better for the